Don't you dare! You're not going to try to steal your sister's credit, my mom yelled, her voice echoing through the living room. I sat there stunned, my face burning of rage. It was Christmas Eve at my parents' house. Just me, my sister Olivia, who was out getting candy, our parents, and my cousin Nina. The tree was lit up, the scent of pine and cinnamon filled the room, and yet all I could feel was the weight of their judgment crushing me. My name is Sophie, I'm 28 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the afterthought in my own family. My sister Olivia, the golden child, could walk on water as far as my parents were concerned. Meanwhile, I couldn't even breathe without them finding something to criticize. But this time, it wasn't just words, it was about the truth. Since July, I had been quietly sending my parents money every month to help with their bills, but Olivia had taken all the credit, and my parents believed her without question. When I finally tried to tell them the truth, my mom shut me down like I was some liar looking for attention. I didn't know what to say after that. My throat felt tight, and all the words I wanted to scream just stuck there. Nina, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, finally spoke up. "Wait a second," she said, her tone sharp enough to cut through the tension. "How do you even know Olivia's sending the money? Have you ever seen proof of it?" My parents looked at her like she had grown a second head. My dad waved his hand dismissively. "Of course Olivia wouldn't lie about something like that. She's been the responsible one since day one." Responsible. That word felt like a slap to my face. I'd spent the last 6 months tightening my own budget just to help them out, skipping dinners out with friends and saying no to things I really wanted. All because I thought it was the right thing to do. But no matter what I did, Olivia always managed to swoop in and make me look like the selfish one. Just as I was about to respond, the front door opened, and Olivia waltzed in, a bag of candy swinging from her hand. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice annoyingly cheerful, as if she hadn't just walked into the middle of a storm. She took one look at my mom's flushed face and my clenched fists and immediately put on her innocent act, tilting her head like she had no idea what was happening. "You need to explain to your sister," my mom said, pointing a shaky finger at me. "She's trying to claim she's been helping us financially when we all know it's been you." Olivia froze for a moment, her eyes darting to me, then to Nina, before putting on her most saccharine smile. "Oh, Mom," she said with a laugh, setting the candy on the counter. "I'm sure Sophie just misunderstood." She turned to me, her expression dripping with fake concern. "You know I've been handling this for months now. I didn't want to burden you with it." I stared at her, absolutely floored by her audacity. "Misunderstood?" I said, my voice trembling. "I've been sending them money since July, every single month, and you knew that, Olivia. Don't you dare act like this was all a mix-up." Nina crossed her arms, glaring at Olivia. "Yeah, Olivia. Care to explain why you've been so quiet about it all this time?" Olivia's fake smile faltered for just a second, but she recovered quickly, brushing her hair behind her ear like nothing had happened. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "I've been helping out because, unlike you, I actually care about Mom and Dad's well-being." That was it. I felt something snap inside me. "Are you serious right now?" I shot back, standing up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. "You've been letting them believe a lie for months, Olivia. You knew I was the one sending the money, but you just sat there and let them think it was you. Why? So you could play the hero?" Nina stepped in before things got even more heated. "Hold on," she said, raising her hand like a referee. "There's an easy way to settle this. Did Olivia ever actually show you proof that she was sending the money? Bank statements, screenshots, anything?" My parents exchanged awkward glances, and my mom stammered, "Well, no, but we didn't think we needed to." Olivia said she was doing it. Olivia whipped around to face Nina, her smile now replaced with a glare. "You're out of place here, Nina," she snapped, her voice sharp and defensive. "This is a family matter, and frankly, You don't know the first thing about what's been going on. Nina didn't back down. Oh, I think I know enough, she shot back, her tone icy. I've watched you bask in the praise for something you didn't even do, Olivia. You've been feeding them lies, and you know it. Olivia let out a sarcastic laugh, shaking her head. You're unbelievable, she muttered, pulling out her phone. Fine, if you want proof, here. She scrolled through her files, then held the screen up to my parents. See? These are the receipts for the transfers I've been making, every month like clockwork. My mom's face softened as she glanced at the PDFs, but I knew better. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. Let me see those, I said, snatching the phone from her hand before she could protest. The receipts looked convincing. Her name, the amounts, even the transaction IDs. But something about them felt off. I turned to Nina, who leaned over to look with me. This is a lie! I exploded, my voice shaking the walls. The room went dead silent, but I couldn't stop. You faked these, Olivia. Don't act like you've been sending them money when you haven't sent a single dime. My chest heaved as I glared at her, daring her to deny it. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. Not this time. Nina, who had been so sharp just moments ago, suddenly stepped back, looking uncomfortable. I don't know. Maybe I went too far, she muttered, avoiding Olivia's glare. She wasn't going to take sides anymore, not with the tension this high. Olivia just smirked, holding her phone close to her chest like it was some kind of shield. Fine, I snapped, pulling out my own phone. You want proof? I'll show you my bank statements right now. My hands shook as I opened my banking app, only for the screen to freeze. No, I muttered under my breath, tapping furiously. It wasn't working. I closed it, reopened it, and tried again. Nothing. Come on, I hissed, panic rising in my chest. It's not working. How convenient, Olivia said smugly, her arms crossed. The one time you need to prove something, your phone just doesn't work. Sounds legit, Sophie. Enough, my dad roared, standing up and towering over me. You've embarrassed yourself enough already. If you can't back up your story, you owe your sister an apology. Right now. His tone was cold, final. And if you don't, you can pack your things and leave. I'm not letting you ruin Christmas with your jealousy. I froze, feeling the weight of everyone's eyes on me. Apologize? For what? I spat, my voice cracking. For telling the truth? For being tired of living in her shadow? My dad just pointed to the door. You have 5 minutes to decide. I didn't wait. I grabbed my coat and walked out into the freezing night, slamming the door behind me. Tears blurred my vision as I made my way to my car. I had never felt so small, so lost. Christmas was supposed to be about family, but all I could feel was how little I belonged in mine. I drove aimlessly through the dark, my tears blurring the Christmas lights strung along the streets. My mind was racing, replaying the confrontation over and over. How could Olivia do this? How could my parents believe her without a second thought? I didn't even realize where I was going until I pulled into the parking lot of a 24-hour coffee shop. The bright lights inside felt oddly out of place against the stillness of the night. I grabbed my phone and slid into a booth, still trembling with anger and humiliation. My banking app stared back at me, useless. Every time I tried to log in, I got the same frustrating message. We're experiencing a major technical issue. All services, including ATMs, are temporarily unavailable. We're working to resolve this as soon as possible. Thank you for your patience. Patience? I needed proof now. I refreshed the app again and again, as if sheer willpower could force it to work, but it was no use. The universe really had it out for me tonight. An hour passed. I was still staring at my phone, empty coffee cups scattered around me, when a message popped up. It was Nina. Hey, are you okay? I've been thinking, and if you need a place to crash, my door's open. I'm not sure what to believe right now, but you've always been honest with me. Let me know. For the first time that night, I let out a shaky breath. Nina believed me, or at least part of her did. She was torn, and I couldn't blame her. Olivia's so-called proof had been convincing enough, and with my app down, I had nothing but my word to fight back. Still, her message gave me a small glimmer of hope. At least someone wasn't completely against me. My parents lived in a small town, the kind where everyone knows everyone else's business. I'd only come back for the holidays, hoping for a quiet Christmas with family. Instead, I found myself driving through empty streets to Nina's house, clutching the steering wheel as if it could hold me together. When I pulled into her driveway, she was already at the door, wrapped in a blanket and holding a mug of tea. "Come in," she said softly, her expression a mix of worry and hesitation. I stepped inside, and she didn't press me to talk right away. She just handed me a mug and led me to the couch, where I finally let out the breath I'd been holding since I walked out of my parents' house. "I'm not lying, Nina," I said after a few minutes of silence. My voice cracked, but I forced myself to keep going. "I swear to you, I've been sending them money every month since July. Olivia knew, and she let them think it was her. Those receipts she showed? They're fake. I know they are." Nina nodded slowly, still unsure. "I believe you," she said hesitantly, "but you have to admit, it doesn't look great right now, especially with the app not working. It's like the perfect storm." "I know," I whispered, my frustration boiling over. "But tomorrow, if the bank system is back up, I'll show them the proof. I'm not stepping foot in that house for Christmas Day unless I can prove Olivia's been lying." Nina sat back looking thoughtful. "Everyone's going to be there tomorrow," she said quietly. "Your parents, Olivia, the whole family. If you walk in with proof, there's no way she can weasel her way out of it." "Exactly," I said firmly. "I'm not going to let her keep making me the bad guy. Not anymore." Nina gave me a small, encouraging smile. "Well, you can stay here as long as you need to. And tomorrow, let's hope the bank system is back up." The next morning, I woke up feeling a sliver of hope, thinking maybe, just maybe, the universe had decided to cut me some slack. But as I reached for my phone and opened the bank app, my stomach dropped. The same message stared back at me. "We're still experiencing a major technical issue. Services remain unavailable. Thank you for your patience." I groaned, running a hand through my messy hair. "Still down," I muttered, tossing the phone onto the bedside table. For a moment, I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing for alternatives. How was I supposed to prove anything without access to my account? Nina knocked softly on the door before peeking in. "Morning," she said, holding 2 mugs of coffee. Her face fell when she saw mine. "Still no luck?" I shook my head, taking the mug from her. "Nothing. I don't know what to do, Nina. I can't just walk in there with my word against Olivia's. They'll never believe me." She sat down beside me, tucking her legs under her. "There's got to be another way," she said, thinking out loud. "Can you call your bank? Maybe they can verify the transfers over the phone?" I considered it for a moment but knew it wouldn't work. Even if I called the bank, my parents weren't going to let me sit there on the phone in front of them. They'd just dismiss it as another excuse. Besides, it was Christmas Day and all the bank branches were closed. I tried calling their customer service line anyway, but all I got was an automated message. "We are experiencing high call volumes due to a technical issue. Please try again later." I hung up, frustration boiling over. Everyone must have been calling for the same reason, and now I was completely stuck. "I have to think of another way," I muttered, more to myself than to Nina. "I can't just show up empty-handed." Sitting at Nina's kitchen table, staring blankly at my coffee cup, I felt completely stuck. Every option seemed like a dead end. "There has to be a way," I mumbled, more to myself than to Nina, who was scrolling on her phone nearby. Something Olivia didn't think of when she faked those receipts. I picked up my phone for the 100th time, scrolling aimlessly through apps and emails, hoping for inspiration. That's when it hit me. The emails. Every time I made a transfer to my parents, I got an automatic confirmation email from the bank. Those wouldn't be tied to the app or the bank's current technical issues. I nearly dropped my phone as I scrambled to search my inbox. It didn't take long. There they were, clear as day. Monthly email confirmations from July through December, showing the exact amounts I'd transferred, and the same account numbers linked to my parents. "Nina!" I practically shouted, spinning my phone around for her to see. "Look at this, the emails, they're all here, it's all the proof I need." Relief and determination flooded through me at the same time. Nina's eyes widened as she read over the emails, her face breaking into a smile. "You've got her now," she said, her voice steady with confidence. "There's no way Olivia can talk her way out of this." I nodded, my resolve firm. "I'm going to that house, but only with this proof in hand. If she tries to deny it, I'll show them these emails right in front of everyone." For the first time in hours, I felt like I had control again. Olivia's lies were about to unravel, and this time, I wouldn't let her get away with it. As I stared at the confirmation emails, a wave of relief washed over me, but it was quickly followed by a twinge of embarrassment. How had I not thought of this earlier? It was so obvious. But then again, I hadn't been thinking clearly since last night. I'd been too overwhelmed by the fight, the accusations, and the sheer humiliation of being called a liar in front of everyone. My mind had been spinning in 100 directions, and honestly, I was just trying to hold it together. "God," I muttered, shaking my head at myself. "I feel so stupid for not checking my email sooner. It's been sitting there this whole time." Nina reached over and squeezed my arm. "Don't beat yourself up," she said gently. "You've been through a lot in the past 24 hours. It's no wonder you didn't think of it right away. The important thing is that you found it now." Her reassurance helped ease some of the shame, though I still felt a little silly. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was coming next. "Okay," I said, sitting up straighter. "I've got the proof. I'm going over there and I'm setting the record straight. If they still don't believe me after this, then that's on them." Nina nodded, her expression firm. "I've got your back, Sophie. Let's go show them the truth." I pulled into my parents' driveway, gripping the steering wheel for a moment before stepping out. The sight of the house, decorated with twinkling lights and a cheerful wreath on the door, felt like a cruel joke. I wasn't here to celebrate. I was here to expose the truth. Nina gave me a small nod of encouragement before we both walked up to the door. My mom opened it, her face tight with disapproval. "So, you decided to come back," she said, her tone sharp enough to make me flinch. Behind her, Olivia was leaning casually against the wall, smirking. "Did you come to apologize, Sophie?" she asked, her voice dripping with mockery. My dad stood further back, arms crossed, looking like he'd rather slam the door in my face. "I just want to celebrate Christmas with the family," I said softly, forcing my voice to sound apologetic. "I don't want any more drama." My mom narrowed her eyes but stepped aside to let me in. Olivia let out a little snort as I passed her, whispering just loud enough for me to hear, "Took you long enough to come crawling back." I clenched my fist but kept my face neutral. Let her think I'd given up. Let them all think I was just here to grovel and move on. I played along, smiling faintly and staying out of the way as the house slowly filled with relatives. Cousins, aunts, uncles, they all greeted me warmly, none of them aware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. As we sat down for dinner, I felt my heart pounding in anticipation. I knew Olivia couldn't resist bringing up last night. It was only a matter of time before she used the moment to paint herself as the victim and me as the villain. All I had to do was wait, and make sure my proof was ready. It didn't take long for Olivia to seize the spotlight. As we all sat around the table, passing dishes and exchanging polite conversation, she cleared her throat dramatically. "Well," she began, glancing at me with a smirk, "I think we all need to address the elephant in the room." The table went silent, all eyes turning toward her. She leaned back in her chair, feigning a look of concern. "You know, last night was really tough for me," she said, her voice trembling just enough to seem genuine. "I mean, I never thought Sophie could stoop so low as to accuse me of lying. It was honestly heartbreaking." My stomach twisted as whispers spread around the table. A few relatives were already glancing at me with disapproval, while others seemed too stunned to react. Olivia wasn't done. "I've always tried to be there for this family," she continued, laying it on thick. "Sending money every month to help Mom and Dad, never asking for recognition. And for her to turn around and call me a liar in front of everyone? It's beyond hurtful." Her performance was flawless, tears threatening to spill, voice shaking just enough to sound sincere. My parents nodded along, my mom looking particularly wounded. "You didn't deserve that, Olivia," she said, her voice firm. "We've always known you were the responsible one." The room filled with murmurs of agreement, and I felt the weight of their judgment pressing down on me. My cousins and aunts stared at me like I was the worst person in the world. I gripped my phone under the table, my pulse pounding in my ears. I had waited for this moment, but now that it was here, the pressure was suffocating. I took a deep breath, steadying my hands under the table as Olivia continued her act. When she finally paused, dabbing at her dry eyes with a napkin, I seized the moment. "That's enough," I said, my voice calm but firm. Every head turned to me, some with surprise, others with outright disdain. I stood, gripping my phone tightly. "You've had your chance to talk, Olivia. Now it's my turn." She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, here we go again." I ignored her and addressed the table instead. "I've been sending Mom and Dad money every month since July. I don't use fancy speeches, and I don't ask for recognition. But when Olivia stood there last night, claiming she was the one doing it, I couldn't stay quiet, and now I can prove it." I held up my phone, showing the email confirmations I'd found. "These are my receipts. They come directly from my bank. They show every transfer I made to Mom and Dad's account, along with the exact dates and amounts." Olivia leaned back, smirking. "Oh, please," she said, waving me off. "Anyone can fake an email these days. You really expect everyone to believe that? My receipts came straight from the app." "They're not fake," I shot back, my frustration boiling over. "And if you're so confident, let's check the dates. Mom, Dad, did you bother to check the transfer dates on Olivia's receipts last night? Because I'll bet they don't match mine." My parents exchanged uneasy glances. My dad shifted in his chair, scratching his chin. "We didn't check," he admitted. "We just assumed, and we don't use the bank app on our phones." "You just assumed she was telling the truth," I finished for him, my voice sharp. "You trusted her without a second thought, but now you have a chance to see for yourselves." I crossed my arms, daring Olivia to interrupt. "Let's go and check your ATM statements. They show the account numbers for every deposit. You don't need bank apps for that." Olivia's smirk faltered, but she quickly recovered. "Fine," she snapped. "Let them check. I have nothing to hide." My parents hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. "It's Christmas," my mom said weakly. "Do we really have to—" "Yes," I interrupted, my voice unwavering. "We do." Reluctantly, my dad grabbed his coat and the three of us left for the nearest ATM. The cold night air bit at my skin as we drove in tense silence. At the ATM, my dad pulled out his card and accessed the transaction history. Slowly, he scrolled through the dates, matching them to the statements on my phone. The moment of truth came when he clicked into the details of a July deposit. It displayed the bank account number, and it matched mine. He checked August, September. Every single one lined up perfectly with the emails I'd shown them. My mom stared at the screen, her face pale. "It's Sophie's account," she whispered, barely audible. "Every one of these transfers came from Sophie. Olivia actually took the time to fake her statements just in case we would ask one day." When we pulled back into the driveway, the atmosphere in the car was thick with tension. My parents hadn't said a word the entire ride home, their faces a mix of shame and disbelief. As we walked into the house, the murmurs of conversation in the living room came to an abrupt halt. All eyes turned toward us, the weight of the situation pressing down on everyone. And then, we saw Olivia. She was by the door, furiously throwing on her coat and clutching her purse. Her face was flushed, her confident smirk replaced by a panicked, guilty expression. "Olivia," my dad said firmly, stepping forward, "we checked the statements. Every transfer came from Sophie's account. You've been lying to us." The room erupted into hushed gasps. A few relatives exchanged awkward glances, clearly embarrassed to have believed her. One by one, they started gathering their things, mumbling hurried goodbyes as they shuffled toward the door. Olivia's facade finally cracked. She let out a bitter laugh, tears streaming down her face. "Fine," she snapped, spinning around to face us. "Yes, I lied, okay? Is that what you want to hear? I lied." She glared at me, her voice trembling with frustration. "You told me back in July that you didn't want a big deal made about sending them money, that you just wanted to help quietly. So I thought, what's the harm in letting them think it was me? They already see me as the responsible one anyway." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. "I told you because I trusted you," I said, my voice shaking. "I thought maybe, for once, you'd support me. Instead, you used it to make yourself look good while I was left feeling invisible. Do you even realize how humiliating this has been for me?" Olivia's expression softened for a brief moment, but she quickly turned defensive again. "They were never going to believe you over me, Sophie," she said bitterly. I didn't think it would blow up like this." My mom stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Why, Olivia? Why would you do this? We would have been grateful to either of you for helping. There was no reason for this." Olivia didn't respond. She grabbed her keys and stormed out the door, slamming it behind her. The room was silent for a long moment, the weight of her actions sinking in. My parents turned to me, their faces filled with regret. "Sophie," my dad began, his voice heavy, "we owe you an apology, a huge one. We should have listened to you, but we didn't. And we're sorry." My mom nodded, tears streaming down her face. "We've treated you unfairly for so long, and this was inexcusable. I don't know if we can ever make it up to you, but we'll try. I promise." I stood there, taking in their words, unsure how to feel. Part of me wanted to forgive them, but another part still ached from years of being overlooked. "I appreciate the apology," I said finally, my voice quiet. "But this doesn't erase everything. It's going to take time." They nodded solemnly, and for the first time, I felt like they truly understood. The night ended quietly after that, with the house emptied of guests and the three of us sitting in the lingering aftermath. It wasn't the Christmas I had hoped for, but at least for once the truth was out, and I wasn't the bad guy anymore.